Hey everybody, thanks for stopping in and taking a look at what we're going to try and help you out with over these next couple of minutes on what's going on with Sally. And of course, it has been a long last couple of days for many folks along the Gulf Coast. Sally officially making landfall just after 7 a.m. Central Time this morning in Gulf Shores, Alabama as a Category 2 hurricane. Now, we've been providing you ongoing live coverage these last couple of days, and when we left you late last night, we were concerned that the trend was going to be for some strengthening with Sally, and that's exactly what happened. The hurricane actually rallied back a bit and got up to around 105 miles an hour just before it made landfall. So I'm sure you've seen on social media and in the news across the country the video and the pictures coming out of that area of the U.S., which is just so heartbreaking because the pictures are pretty significant and pretty substantial. In fact, I've got a couple I'm going to show you right now. So we're going to begin in Orange Beach. This is a yacht that is been pushed onshore on one of the major roads in Orange Beach. You can see it here, and this was courtesy of Twitter, but we have seen a lot of this play out across the Gulf Coast region. Our next picture, this is from a My Radar user, and this is in Gulfport, Mississippi, a picture of the storm surge. Take a look at this incredible photo rather, of the damage that happened there. Now, the storm surge officially was about 5 feet, give or take, in this area of Florida and southern Alabama. And that is about the third highest storm surge ever recorded for that area of the Gulf Coast. They, of course, had Hurricane Ivan exactly 16 years ago to the day, and the paths of these two hurricanes were nearly identical. Now, Ivan created substantial damage when it moved onshore 16 years ago, and we still are talking about significant damage with Sally, but Ivan was a more powerful hurricane, but we're still seeing the scope of Sally across this area. And again, it has been several years since they have seen a big hurricane, or a hurricane make landfall for that matter. In fact, Sally is the third landfalling hurricane in this hurricane season alone in the Gulf of Mexico. So we've had 4 total landfalls in the 2020 Atlantic season, but Sally is the third that's made landfall in the Gulf Coast region. Now, the last 4 hurricanes that actually made landfall, that we had at least 4 or more hurricanes, was 2005. And we think this season is going to rival 2005. We do think we're going to get through the entire alphabet and head into the Greek alphabet with Alpha. We'll talk more about that in just a second as well. But again, it has been an extremely busy hurricane season, and boy, is it not over yet, you guys. There are several things that we're keeping an eye on. So let me show you some of that video as well. This is from the Sportsman Marina from this morning, and this is also incredible video. Absolutely decimated the marina. Boats tossed like toys all across the Gulf, and we're seeing substantial damage playing out in this area of Gulf Shores, which is where the eye came on. The worst of the weather, the worst of that eye wall, came on shore this morning around 7 a.m. And Pensacola, just to the east, also reporting some of that really, really bad weather. So I don't know if we showed that video, Matt, of the video out of Sportsman Marina, but if we have it, oh, okay. I apologize because there's a big delay and I don't see it on my computer. But unbelievable what the scope of that damage is. Over 500,000 people in this region of Florida and Alabama are without power. It will be at least a week before we see major repairs in this area of the country, and it will be days before crews can really assess just how bad everything is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the My Radar app. I've got the per station turned on, and if you want, Matt, you can take that full screen. And actually what I'm going to do is, because I can hear myself in the other room, so I'm going to get up. Matt, just take that full, and I'm going to close my door so I don't hear the echo, because it's hard to concentrate. So I'm going to close that. Hang on. Okay, now I should be able to hear you guys better. Let me go over here, and when you take a look at the imagery here, what a difference 24 hours would make, you guys. You know, we were talking about how organized Sally looked last night on satellite and on radar, and of course now that it's been inland for more than 12 hours, not looking anywhere near as a classic tropical system, but still producing significant weather in that area. And we're going to still be dealing with Sally most of this week. It'll be several more days before we're actually done with what Sally has to deliver. So with the PER station turned on, again, some of those reds that you see down there to the south and east of Montgomery, that's where the what's left of that center continues to pull towards the north, and it's headed right over Auburn University here, moving into, Tuskegee. Sorry about that. Sometimes our Zoom kind of goes a little crazy, and so you can still see significant rains, anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 inches of rain an hour, still possible with the leftovers of Sally. So I'm going to switch back over to Montgomery's radar, just see if I see anything. Let me switch this over to velocity real quick, because we've had tornado watches. We've had several tornado warnings as well. And as I switch that over, things are looking relatively clear. I don't see anything jumping out at me here, but I know that we've had warnings in this area. Tornado watch, again, is still up for this area as well, and that will be several more hours before we see that actually go away. So let's go back over to WSI, Matt, and we'll take that full. Matt Hyland, by the way, driving the bus for me tonight, and we'll take a look at our live radars. And remember, we have 5 live radars in the area, and you can see that I've got one in Atlanta, there's one in Columbia, South Carolina, and there's one in, I think, in Tallahassee, one in Birmingham. So when I take a look here, we're going to put on the query function, and this is a really good tool to show how much rain we're getting. So I'm going to zoom in to some of those heavier storms that we were just showing you on the My Radar app, and we'll see what kind of rainfall rates we're getting. So some of these last night, if you're watching last night, was 3 inches an hour. It was unbelievable. So these are producing anywhere from just under an inch to a quarter of an inch. I'm just, randomly toggling on these numbers here. But you have to remember, Sally is still moving relatively slow. So we can talk about several inches of rain here in just a few hours. And the totals that have come out of Pensacola, the Destin area, they're unbelievable. I'm going to show you that in just a second, you guys. It's been really unbelievable how much rain there has been there in just a short period of time. So these are the actual wind gusts, the live wind gusts right now. And as we take a look at these, most of these are in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 miles an hour. Montgomery, Alabama currently has a gust of 41. These are updated every hour. And then Dothan, Alabama, just under 30 mile per hour gust. Atlanta, about 22. Macon, Georgia, about 30. Maracus, about 28. And then in Moultrie in southern Georgia is about 16. So you can see the winds are still pretty decent. And even look back in Mobile, you guys, the radar was down for several hours. And I actually thought it was not going to be back up today. I don't know how they got it back operational, but it is back and working. And so Mobile's got a gust at 31 right now, Pensacola 18. So there's still a fair amount of gusty weather. That's certainly not anything that people can't deal with. But that when you've been talking about that kind of windy weather and the rain for hours upon hours, it can definitely make power lines weakened and susceptible to more power outages. So you can see the current warnings. Let me turn off the radar for a second, and we'll take a look at the warnings. So you can see the flash flood watches. These actually, a fair amount of those actually just disappeared in this last hour, because there was a bunch of them that extended. And I may have something, because this doesn't look right. Let's see. Well, it says it is, but there was watches that extended. Actually, let me check my computer, because that doesn't look right to me. Hang on one sec. I'm going to check the National Weather Service website and see, because I know that we had a bunch of flood watches that were up for that area of the country just within the, there still is. For some reason, that's not showing on our map here, but there are flood watches that move through all of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. So I apologize. I'm not sure why our software isn't showing that. But whoops, let me turn that off, and let me put the radar back on. So we'll just scoot past that. But there is a tropical storm warning that's still up for what you saw down there in orange. That's the immediate Florida Panhandle and into the extreme southeastern part of Alabama and the southwestern part of Georgia. Those should expire sometime either late tonight or tomorrow. So here's a look at the velocity. And we just had that in the app as well. We'll take another look here and see if I see anything. I always like to scan around, see if we've got any rotation and we've got any couplets that we're picking up. That's usually a bigger issue right when we have a landfall, and it's usually at the coast. There certainly has been some exceptions to that. I see one over here, our software picking up on some early rotation right here. So that's just outside the scope of the Atlanta radar. Let me see if I can pick up Birmingham. So let me scoot this back. Okay, there it is. So let's come in here and see if we see anything. And I'll do a quick volume scan and see. Whoops, it went to reflectivity. I can switch that back over real quick. So we need to head over here. I don't know, the computer is not liking me today. So here, there we go. So there is the reflectivity mode, and what we would be looking for, so you can kind of see, I mean, I see a little bit here of maybe a weak couplet here, not super strong, but let me show you what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at, see the greens here? This is at about 30,000 feet, and then we have at 20,000 and below the red. So the green is going towards the Birmingham radar. The red is going away, and I can't flip my arrow here, but the red going away from the Birmingham radar. So when we're looking for rotation, and remember, tropical cyclones by definition have rotating storms, right? It's a big area of low pressure that's basically has rotating storms. So when we're looking at these, we're looking to for the potential of these to have some rotation that's, and this is, I've got a call on this because we have, for some reason, and I apologize, let me switch this back over. When I toggle on the, there we go. When I toggle on the ability to try and scoot this around, it switches back to reflectivity, and it's not supposed to do that. So when we're looking at, we're trying to see the greens and the reds on top of each other, and the green would be going down to the core. That would indicate that there is some type of potential rotation there, some type of vortex. I don't see that here. This is a weak rotation. It's at the mid-levels of that storm, but that doesn't mean that couldn't try and reach the ground. So again, the software was picking up on some early rotation. I don't see it, and actually the software, that little moniker is gone, so that little marker, so maybe it's the storm itself kind of weakened a bit. So it's a great resource, though, when we're looking for severe weather. And there's some of the, see, you can see some of the watches. Okay, so I'm not sure why that other product, but there you see those watches, those flash flood and those flooding watches that go all the way up to Virginia. They go right up in here, and you can see they're outlined in green. It might be hard to see. It was better on that other map. And again, I apologize. I'm not sure why it's not showing it. But the watches go all the way down to central and southern Alabama, and then they go all the way up into, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states. So in anticipation of what Sally's going to bring between now and Friday, a big concern for the floods, and it has really been historic down here. So this is what I want to show you. So we've been trying to talk about just the unbelievable level of rain that came in with Sally last night. So the official reporting number from the Pensacola Naval Air Station was 24.80 inches. There was also an unofficial report of 30 inches of rain in Pensacola. It was from a trained weather spotter. So, and I apologize, I got something in my throat. We are expecting the National Weather Service to officially verify these numbers in the coming days. So what I'm showing you here is based on Doppler radar. This is official numbers, but we'll get the actual totals once the Weather Service can take a look at all the weather stations, verify the data, verify everything was online, and then we'll have a complete picture. But I can tell you confirmed that there was 24.8 inches of rain that fell in just 24 hours at the Pensacola Naval Air Station, Destin 22.4, Panama City 21.3, and in the Northern Gulf is 30 inches of rain. That's accumulated radar data. This takes basically a matrix of a bunch of data, and the rain rates, how much rain has fallen in a course of a time, and in this case it's 24 hours, and it spits out the accumulated rain rate. So unbelievable. And watch this, you guys. I'm going to toggle on some more numbers. So where you see those grays, that's where the numbers are really big. Now, obviously this is in the Gulf of Mexico, but some of those are up here. Some of that gray is up in here. So look at that, 20.8 and 9.3. So I'm just on the outer fringes here, but I'm just going to hit a bunch of them. And you can see these incredible numbers, 17.5 and 16.1. And we'll get all of these numbers. There's a small one, but all these numbers will come in these next couple of days, and we'll get the official totals. It's really incredible. This area not seeing this level of rain in recent memory. They have had hurricanes here, obviously, as I mentioned, but Ivan was more of a wind event. This has definitely been more of a rain, but it also got a decent surge, and there has been a ton of damage in this area. So the rain is still the major headline out of Sally as we head through tonight. tonight and tomorrow, and it will be something that we'll continue to talk about as we head into the next couple of days. So here is a look at the infrared, and again, on presentation, much different than what we saw yesterday with that rally. Those last couple of hours when we left you guys, I think we did our last live update around midnight or 1 last night, and then we had to do a subsequent update around 3 this morning because in a rare move from the Hurricane Center, they had to reissue the path and intensity track because the original path that they put out 11 p.m. last night was not strong enough. So they had to change. The National Hurricane Center had to reissue a path and intensity at 3 o'clock this morning. And that does not happen often, you guys. It is pretty rare. So it was really just another telling feature that I'll remember from this hurricane, because it has been, not only has it been hard to forecast, it's been tricky to forecast. It rallied twice. It rapidly intensified once. It was trying to rapidly intensify yesterday before landfall and this morning, but it did get a burst of energy there and a burst of stronger winds before it actually made its landfall this morning. So here's a look at the latest info as of, I believe this is the 8 p.m. Eastern update, and we're looking at winds at sustained 45 miles an hour, so significantly less than what it was when it came in. Of course, we expect that, so the weaker the better. Northeast now at 7. Remember, it was only moving at 2 miles an hour, and people actually walk faster than Sally was moving. Most humans walk about 2.1 or 2.2 miles an hour, 2.5 miles an hour. So Sally was actually moving slower than you and I walk. Super, super slow when it moved inland this morning. But now at 7, and the pressure this hour is 994, and it's 70 miles west-northwest of Dothan, Alabama. So the major concern for tonight and these next couple of hours is going to continue to be the heavy rains and the wind and the potential for some isolated severe weather, maybe a rogue tornado as well. And as you can see from the Hurricane Center, again, losing all of its organization by Friday, so officially not even going to be an organized system, but still going to be impacting South Carolina and North Carolina on Friday. So don't put your guard down. Even though we're not talking about an organized low, we are still talking about a remnant low that will have the potential to put down some heavy rain as we head through Friday. And then by Saturday, hopefully it will be offshore. There's those watches that I wanted to show you that wasn't showing up on the other map. So you can see them there from Virginia southward into the southeastern U.S., back over to Alabama. That's through tomorrow, because again, the potential there for some heavy rains, and there's already been a bunch of rain. As I mentioned, the slow, sluggish pace of Sally putting down 2 feet of rain across Pensacola, Destin area. And even though it's moving quicker now, this area of the country has seen a fair amount of rain over the last couple of months. So it's the ground isn't saturated, but it's not going to take much to get it there. And then we're also really concerned around the rivers and the tributaries in this area too, that it will be a flooding risk for right along the rivers that are in the southeastern U.S. So that all is going to be the number one weather feature, I think, that we'll be talking about tomorrow and into Friday. And then as we look at the last 24 hours or so, you can still see we got some banding features here. I just noticed that. So look at this. So here's some of those tropical bands down here, still pulling those up, and those are all going to pull northward. But I'm telling you, in these particular features is heavy downpours. So not only is there heavy rain, but there's some wind in these as well. And of course, we've got some big time convection right here. But don't be fooled by these guys, because these guys are pulling north, and those are also going to be putting down a significant amount of rain. So dangerous for sure if you're in this area of the country to be out and about. I know people look at the radar and say, oh, that's not a big deal, but it's different from a summer storm. This is a tropical rain and not a standard garden variety thunderstorm. These are more powerful. They can produce more rain more quickly, and we're already talking about large power outages around the southeast, or just in southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle, over 500,000 people, and I do think that number is going to go up as we head into tomorrow. There's a look at the updated rain totals over the next 3 days. 5 to 7 inches in the areas in the red and the oranges, 3 to 5 for the places in the purples and the in the blues, and that will be primarily what we'll be watching as we head into the weekend. So and to put some numbers to those, so if you live in this area, and a lot of people always ask, hey, how much rain am I going to get? So take a look, and hopefully I've got a city on here that's close to where you are. Down in the southern part of Alabama is just about another inch or so left for you guys. Thankfully, the worst of the weather should be leaving later tonight, and we'll be into Georgia and South Carolina tomorrow. Atlanta expecting 4.5 inches or more of rain. South Carolina 2 or 3 inches on average. Charlotte about 4. When we get into the Blue Ridge Mountains there, we get what's called orographic lift. Even though the mountain ranges there aren't high like they aren't super high like they are out in the Rockies or the Wasatch out in the out west, you still can get lift from these mountain ranges, and that will off the Blue Ridge. And that will help enhance the rain chances for those folks. So 4.5 for Raleigh, about 3.5 for Virginia Beach, and about 1 inch for Wilmington between now and Saturday. And the risk for the severe weather extends tomorrow into South Carolina and North Carolina. You can see this here from the Storm Prediction Center. And we've got about 6 million people at that slight risk, about 10 million people at the marginal risk as we head through into tomorrow. And I would expect to see tornado watches issued for this area of the country as we head through the next 24 hours or so. Okay, here's a look at the HRR. It's a high resolution 3-kilometer model that depicts storms. It just basically is a fancy an acronym to say here's high resolution, lots of data that goes into the computer and spits out what it thinks is going to happen. The HRR's done a decent job with the rain rates. I will tell you that it's been particularly tough trying to figure out what Sally was doing. The typical models that do well with this hurricane did not do a good job with hurricanes in general, did not do a good job with Sally. I got to tell you, most of the models, the Euro, the GFS, the HRR did a decent job, but the HWRF actually was the winner, if you will, of the most accurate, and none of them were great. So it was really hard to hone in and try and tell you guys, what was going to expected to happen, because the modeling data we had was just so poor, and that was because, for several reasons, weak steering currents of Sally. Sally reorganized in the Gulf a couple of days ago, and in the samplings of the atmosphere, unfortunately, just did not depict what really happened. So it was a tough one. This was definitely a tough hurricane to try and pinpoint a forecast. I will say the Hurricane Center, I think, did a really nice job. You're never going to hear me say anything bad about the Hurricane Center. Those guys and gals are some of the smartest people in the world. They have a really, really, really tough job. And, I think they did an excellent job with what they had. The models, again, that are typically reliable for hurricanes did not come through this go around. So it was tough for sure for everybody. So here's a look at the power outage forecast. And as we head through tomorrow, look at that big spike in the Carolinas. For sure, we're looking at a moderate to high risk and maybe even a severe risk. It's got it over at the coast, this particular feature, but I think that's going to be a little bit closer to Columbia and into Charlotte, North Carolina. So even though this model is showing more towards the coast, I do think it's going to be more interior and maybe on the west side of these states where there's going to be a risk for the power outages. Power outages with these in these states, I don't think is going to be as traumatic as what, of course, we're dealing with in in Pensacola and Destin and in Gulf Shores and Mobile, where they got the eye of Sally, but certainly going to be dealing with some isolated power events. Okay, so let's take a look at the Atlantic Basin here, just about wrapping up. A lot of folks have been asking about Teddy and Vicky and what's going on with the African wave. So as you can see here, there's several things we're still watching. There's also a wave in the Gulf of Mexico. I'll show you that in a second. But in terms of what Teddy is going to do, that is expected to be a major hurricane and possibly impact Bermuda. Remember, they just got Paulette about 3 days ago, and they could potentially get Teddy in about 4 days. So not good news for the island of Bermuda. Vicky, not a threat to the U.S. at all. Neither is Teddy, by the way. But the one that you see shaded in orange that says 60%, that's I think that could be Wilfred. We'll see, our last letter in the alphabet, or the one that's over in the Gulf of Mexico. could be our Wilfred. And then we're going to have to go to the Greek alphabet. It would be Alpha, would be our next system. I know we're going to get there. I mean, it's just been an insane year. So this has a 70% chance of development. And I do have the spaghetti plots for this one. So as we head now, between now and the next 5 days, you can see the modeling kind of drifting in a pattern similar to what we've seen this hurricane season already, a pull towards the north, because of a cold front that could be interacting with this area of low pressure. It's Invest 90L, by the way, is the official moniker for it until it gets a name, if it gets a name, and it probably will. It doesn't look great today, I will say, on the satellite presentation. It doesn't look that great to me, but there is indications that the sea surface pressures here are going to enhance and become more favorable for development. There's not a lot of wind shear right now, but as you can see, it's just a big pile of what looks like spaghetti because the models really don't have a clear handle on this one yet. So some of them pull it northward, some of it pull it back towards Texas. This is going to be a watch and see, you guys, for sure, and we'll keep you updated. We'll have a lot more on that as we head towards the weekend on what this is going to potentially do. If this becomes Wilfred, if it stays a tropical low and doesn't get organized, all of that is yet to play out. But of everything that I've shown you, this is the one that's closest to the U.S. that could have some implications over the next couple of days. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated on that one. And hopefully we'll get a break, you guys, a couple of days break before we have to deal with something else. But we'll see. One last look at the radar. Let me take a look at YouTube because usually we get some comments on here. And I'll take a look and see what we've got. Oh, Sandy's watching. Okay, wonderful. Our longtime supporter, Sandy Rose, on our YouTube page. She's great. And let's see, we've got, is Atlanta still expecting 5 inches of rain? So Michael Ellis is asking that. I think at 4.5, yeah, is certainly reasonable. I don't know if you'll get between 4.5 or 5, but the fact that Sally has been a very wet hurricane, wetter than a typical hurricane, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think 4 inches is certainly reasonable for Atlanta. So keep that in mind as you're making your preps between now and tomorrow and Friday, because I do think there is a fair opportunity for there to be about 4 or 5 inches of rain. So let's see. Expecting a lot of rain. Sandy is in South Carolina. And in St. Pete, no rain. Greg, we had the rain that Florida got, and we're in Florida, by the way, as well. My radar is. We got our rain from Sally this weekend. So really, there is a little bit of rain left over for north central Florida tonight. Most of the rain that we got from Sally is done with, and it's pulling too far away to have any more direct impacts across the main part of the peninsula. Certainly, the Panhandle got the worst of what Sally had to deliver. But there's still a little bit of rain out there tonight for the northern central part of the state, and of course the Panhandle has some rain left over as well, but most of that has now moved northward. Okay, so let me take a quick look at Facebook. Oh, there's a lot of people on Facebook tonight. Wow, I won't be able to get through all these. This is great. Okay, so we've got Donna is in the house, Rodolfo, Mike Neem. Let's see if I've got a question here. Elizabeth Ricks watching. Okay, wait a minute. Looks like someone just asked a question. Let me scroll down to the bottom. What do you think? It says, I can't read it all because it's on my phone. What do you think about all of the fires that are going on? Oh, Momo, I know you were on last night. So the fires, as we know, has been horrendous. And we have been talking about the fires in California, Oregon, and Washington. About 900,000 acres in Oregon alone, just under 1 million acres burned there. One of the worst wildfire seasons ever for them. However, the winds did start to get a little bit more favorable in Oregon in these last 2 days or so. Still not great, but the wind, there was a shift in the wind pattern, and that has helped the firefighters get some containment of some of the fires. But, this is their wildfire season, like this is hurricane season in the eastern part of the country. So, it's not without surprise that there is wildfires ongoing across the western half of the country, but I say that with the caveat, Oregon has not had a wildfire like this ever, and it has been pretty bad, really, really bad in California as well. Not to the scope of what the Paradise fires were a few years ago, but not far off, you guys. It's really been bad. And Washington State also has had a lot of bad weather as well. Okay, I think that is going to do it for now. There's a bunch of people checking in tonight, so I thank you guys so much for stopping in. It is... let Let me take a look here because I have been up. I don't know how long I've been up today, but it's been a long day. So I got to wear my glasses when I'm tired. My eyes are dry. So it's 9:28 p.m. here on the East Coast, 8:28 Central. Just to let you know that, again, we'll continue to give you updates on Sally throughout the rest of the week. We'll have the latest info on the fast forecast. That launches around 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning. It was a little late this morning because we had to update it last minute. But you can see that in the app. We also push it to our social media pages and on YouTube. So you can get an overall snapshot of the country, not just the areas that are dealing with Sally. We try and cover everything, but obviously the biggest weather of the day, which has been Sally the last couple of days, we'll focus pretty hard on that. And then we'll try and do some other weather for you as well. So I think that's going to do it for now. And on behalf of Matt Hyland, who is helping me tonight, I am Leslie Hudson. I want to thank you guys for being so supportive over the last couple of years as we've tried to really dial up our coverage and become more of a broadcast entity besides a weather app that you guys rely on heavily day to day. So thank you for continuing to watch. And I hope that if you have family in the South, know that we're thinking about them tonight, wishing them the best, and that the recovery and restoration efforts will hopefully go off smoother than not. It has been such a horrific year for so many people on so many different levels. So we're thinking about the folks along the Gulf Coast tonight and wishing the best for everyone in Georgia and the Carolinas tonight and Alabama. So that'll do it, you guys. Stay safe, and we'll see you back here real soon.